G'day folks, it's Sam Daines here from Ardento. Today we're going to walk through some tips and tricks for the MYOB Advanced user interface. So going through really basic things from navigating the main menu to some of the less known user tips that if you are an end user of the system make your life a little bit easier, a little bit quicker, so you can understand how best to navigate the system. So we're going to start by looking here at the main menu, which you have on the left-hand side. Obviously this represents the different modules within your system. Down the bottom left-hand side is the configuration menu. And now you can click this, and it's an option that a lot of people don't realize is there. If you choose, you can have your MYOB Advanced menu at the top of your screen. So you can simply push the collapse to top, and that will actually move the entire menu up to the top of the screen here, giving you that extra bit of screen real estate on the left-hand side. So that can be useful if you like things, maybe you've got a widescreen monitor and you'd like that a little bit wider. Of course, to put it back, you simply go back to the configuration menu and expand to left, and that'll dock the main menu back on here. One of the other areas, obviously there is a lot of modules available, a lot of screens inside of MYOB Advanced, and depending on the level of user access, this can be quite confusing. One great feature is the ability to create favorites. This is simply going into any screen. So for instance, if I'm going to come down here to the payable screen, to the bills and adjustments menu, if I want this to be my favorites, I simply click the small star icon next to the menu item, and that's going to add it to my favorites. And I can actually do this with any screen that's relevant to me. And I think this is probably one of the underutilized areas of the user interface. It means you can just easily group together the things that matter for you, and you don't have to always be navigating the more complex menu system. So using the favorites is a really great way to kind of deal with that as well. You'll also note the main menu has more items down here at the bottom, which may have some of the other modules that you may or may not use depending on your role within the system. If you'd like to see one of these icons as part of the main menu, you simply come across and there is a pin next to it. So for instance, if I'm working within the opportunities module or maybe the payroll module, and I want to see that as a main menu item, I can use the little pin, and then that will add it to the main menu rather than under the more items. So it's all about reducing clicks, making it easier for you to get to the things that you need to faster. One other thing that is worth pointing out, which is more around a main menu function, any icon that you've got here, any menu item rather, will generally take you to the list view or the inquiry of that record. So here my AP bills and adjustments produces a list of relevant bills and adjustments. And then if I want to create a new record, I have to click the new record button and so forth. So it's a few clicks if I go through this particular path. Using my favorites, and in fact any icon within your menu system, actually when you hover over it, has a new button on the right hand side. If you click this new button, or you can use the shortcut key Control Insert, this is going to take you straight to the record creation screen to create a new record. So from here we can start entering my bill straight away. I don't have to look at the list of bills and then click a new one. So you can reduce a few clicks by using that straight to new icon. So it just covers off a few of the main menu items. Let's drill into a few extra details now relating to really these inquiries, the list views, the generic inquiries within Advanced. You may be using the system views, or you might have had a custom view created for you. One of the first things to consider here is around the way that you can access filters and create tabs. So for instance here, we can just see that this is just listing for me a list of all bills, regardless of their status, balanced, open, etc. Over on the right hand side here, we do have a filter settings option, and I can click this here, and I can choose to apply additional filter criteria to this view. So I click the new button here, add my property. For instance, if I want to just choose status, and I want to apply a filter to say, okay, will only show me the bills in the balanced status. And I can apply that filter, and that will apply it once to me here. Now, if I click back on my filter option, if I want to save this option so I can get back to it easily, I simply come down the bottom and click save, and give it a new name here, and we'll call this balanced documents. And then I can click OK to save that, and I can click apply. A really nifty thing here that I love is that it adds a new tab across the top that allows me to quickly flick back through all records or balanced records. And this now will exist every time I visit this particular screen. So I can use these tabs to break up my records in an easy way and access the information that I need to faster. So using this filter option, creating tabs is a really great way to organize that information and make it simple for you as well. We can also, when we create a custom filter, we've also got the ability here to drag header information to configure a filter. So I could in turn drag a type field up the top here to this title bar, and it adds a drop-down menu that allows me to filter the type here as well. So we've almost got a filter within a filter. And this is simply by dragging the column that you want to add as a filter option and bringing it up the top. Under all records, you can see this happens already by default. So I can search by status and apply my filtering here. I can search by type and apply my filtering here. But now I can do that within my custom view tab. This is a really great way to make sure that you can find the data you need to quickly and avoid the system sort of loading in unnecessary records. And this applies to anywhere you're accessing the generic inquiry within the software. So let's move on to now looking at a more of a detailed view. So I'm going to open a bill. Let's just open this particular bill here, this invoice. Sorry, my receivable is invoice. And let's just point out a couple of user interface options that are in here. Now, so you're aware, this is on the latest version of MYOB Advanced, which is 2021.2. This is the latest version of the software. So if you are a new user of the system, you will have this version here as well. And this was rolled out over the last couple of months. I'm not going to cover these top menu items. They're simply the basic navigation icons around saving, creating new records, moving backwards and forwards. But I want to focus on this, the detail grid here. So obviously adding lines on your invoice. You may find that there's going to be fields in this grid that aren't relevant to you, or the order is incorrect. And obviously you can rearrange these simply by clicking on a field column header, moving them around. You'll see the little arrows appear there. I can drop them back and forth, and I can organize the grid so that it's in the order that I care about. You can see here, if I scroll across to the right, I've got lots of fields. There is a really small icon in the far left-hand corner here, which is like a little file cabinet. If you click that, the fields that are available on the right-hand side are the fields, the columns that you're seeing in the grid and the order of them. You can rearrange them here as well as you can by dragging and dropping. So I can click on one here and I can push the up or down arrow to reposition them. But I can also hide them by simply using the right arrow, highlighting a field and moving it into my available columns list, which means it's hidden from my view. Likewise, if there is a field that I would like to see here, I can use my arrow and push it across into the selected columns. You've got options to be able to make that. If you get lost, you made a mess of it and you want to reset it to the default, you can do so here. Another lesser known feature, I think, which again speeds up data entry, especially if you're more of a keyboard user and you want to be able to tab through the fields. You may have certain fields in your grid that you want there for visual cue to let you know that what data is that you're entering, maybe an account code, it might be a unit of measure, things that the system is defaulting for you. You want to see it, but you don't want to do data entry within it. What you can do is, as you hover over these fields in your selected column, you'll see that there is a tab icon here. You can actually click the tab icon, and for instance, if we say things like, let's have a look at unit of measure, and I click the tab and put a strike through, what this is actually going to do is skip over the tab action when I'm navigating through this. So I can come down and I was added a line here and push tab, tab, tab. Instead of it's having to push tab over the unit of measure, I can have it skip over that value. So using this tab or eliminating the tab action from your grid can again speed up data entry and make things easier for you there. It's important to know as well is if you're administrator or a certain with privileges and you're setting this system up and you maybe want to roll out this configuration for this particular screen to other users, you can come up to the tools area here and there is something called share column configuration. So if you've spent a bunch of time setting this up and you would like to share this configuration with other users in your organization, you can use the share column configuration, push it out to those other users, and they will also benefit from the changes that you've made. Now, it's worth mentioning that this is an administrative feature. You can also force it to be default for those users, and you can override the personal user configuration. So you want to take care when doing this that you're not overriding any customization that they have maybe already done. And guys, one of the last features, which is definitely something newer in the latest version of MYOB Advanced, is the ability to configure or change the next action or next button icons that you see across the top. A lot of these used to be grouped under something called the actions menu or reports, but now MYOB has moved all of these under the more button, which is the 3 dots. You can see you've got all of the actions or next steps relating to this particular process under this same area. Now, if there is an area that I want to use regularly, and I'm always going to be doing that, perhaps it might be I want to be able to send an email, and I want to have the reverse icon available here, I can favorite these options and it will put them as buttons across the top and the toolbar. So this really does make it easier for you to get to those next actions and next events quickly without having to go into the sub menu. So it's all about reducing the number of clicks required to complete those actions. And let's be real, in an ERP system, there are a lot of things going on, or processes that need to be followed, but making some of these user interface changes or spending a few minutes just to configure and familiarize yourself with some of these more lesser known user interface options can really make or break your user experience and hopefully make your day with the system a little bit faster and a little bit more efficient. So thanks guys, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully that was useful. We'll chat soon.